On the program tonight is Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is an international sales expert and author providing motivation and sales training programs to Fortune 500 companies, small businesses, and success-minded individuals and entrepreneurs. Cardone is an internationally recognized motivational speaker and is a New York Times best-selling author. He is regularly seen on Fox Business, NBC, MSNBC, and Business Insider. Cardone is executive producer and star of The Turnaround King, a TV program created around his motivating, solution-oriented business coaching. Not only is Grant a sales trainer, he is author of 4 books, and those are Sell to Survive, The Definitive Sales Survival Manual on How to Sell, The Closer Survivor Guide, The Ultimate Guide to Completing the Sale, and If You're Not First, You're Last, Sales Strategies to Dominate Your Marketplace and Be the Best, and also The 10 Times Rule, which we're going to be talking about him tonight. The only difference between success and failure. Grant, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So, Grant, you've written several books, and obviously you're focused on generating revenue and generating sales, and I know you started several companies. What is it that brought you about to writing this book on the 10X Rule, and how does it relate to our audience here tonight?
Well, the 10X Rule is a book about a guy that doesn't want his money, his success, or his business is taken from him, and he feels like he's in an environment where all of it could be taken away. If you're a small business owner today, you know exactly what I mean by that. You know, I'm not so much worried. I love your intro, by the way, about what's happening with the sales cycle and business cycle. However, I think that there's going to be contractions experienced by most small businesses that aren't about an economic contraction as much as the consumer starting to change their mind, either business to business or a consumer buying from a business is going to change their mind about how they're going to actually purchase goods, services, and products.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I was experiencing it yesterday. I was out shopping. I was in a big mall here in Miami, and I told my wife, I'm like, there's no reason for anybody to go to Macy's anymore or to go to the car dealership or to go to anywhere for that fact. Yeah. Because I have to experience, in most cases, a human being that doesn't know their product. Even the restaurants. You'll go into a restaurant, the people don't even know what's good on the menu. I don't want to read a menu. Right. I'm not interested in reading a menu. I don't even know why you give me one. Tell me what the best 2 things here are. Yeah. That's what I came to get. I'm hungry. And I want the 1 or 2 or 3 things that are best here. Tell me what they are. Convince me they're great, and that's what I'm going to buy. And if you don't have great food or a great product or a great service, then you have a very good chance you'll never see me again. And even if you have a great product or service, there's a good chance you're not going to see me again because I'm not loyal anymore. Consumers aren't loyal. So we're going through this business cycle that since Lehman, I think people are looking at their money differently. Whether you own a business and you're buying a product or a service from somebody or you're a consumer buying from a company, you're looking at your money differently today than you were 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I told my mother, who's 86 and still in good health, which is great. We were talking about something, and I said, anymore. I said, I just go out to Amazon and buy whatever I need. I said, the CEO of Amazon made a comment the other day, I forget what magazine it was in. He basically said, your margins are my opportunity, because Amazon just isn't about selling books anymore. You can buy almost anything you need at Amazon. And right. So I think your point is, if you're not adding value to the sales interaction, then why would I be shopping with you?
Yeah. The 10X Rule is about, it was me going through the contraction and having multiple businesses, and I didn't do anything wrong, except that I didn't grow them big enough, fast enough. And I believed that things were going to be good, and I didn't know there was going to be government intervention. I didn't know that – I had a feeling that they would start raising taxes, but I didn't know at the severity that we're all going to experience here over the next 4 or 5 years.
So the 10X Rule is really your adventure.
Oh, absolutely, it's my adventure. I'm like, how am I going to get out of this problem I'm in? And, okay. And I realized I was 51 years old when I started writing it, and I'd been very successful in 3 different businesses, but my real estate was frozen up because of what had happened in 2008, And my other two companies, one is, very, very heavy in instructional material. They just, everything got tied up because everything changed around me. Everything was changing very fast. Technologies are changing, dropping staff. People didn't have as many employees to send to workshops or schools or whatever we were doing. And so, and again, all this was out of my control, like it was 28 million other small businesses. So what do? And I had to confront. You used that word confront. I had to confront where did I depart from a working, viable, survivable business? And when I realized that I had worked hard enough, I had outworked most people by 10 times. And the book talks about how to get people into doing 10 times more than they're doing. Most owners of companies would like that idea. But where I failed was my think was not big enough. I should have been going much bigger the entire time. My think should have been bigger. I should have been going for a bigger audience. I should have never targeted audiences. I should have been going for worldwide audiences. I would tell every business, I would tell a laundromat today, get the people in China to know about how well you clean clothes. That's the kind of expansive think people need to have today. Otherwise, you're going to be swallowed up by something other than just the economy.
You write in your book, and I underlined this quote, you said the 10X rule assumes the target is never the problem. Any target attacked with the right actions in the right amounts with persistence is attainable. That's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah, and what happens with people, and I've had the pleasure of working around tens of thousands of very, very successful people. But what they all say is, they all tell me, hey, you know what? I lowered targets in my life. When things got difficult, I lowered targets. And people shouldn't do that. This is a major mistake. This is the creation of the middle class.
Well, you write about that in your book. The first quote I said in your book kind of got my attention. And the next thing you wrote about, which exactly you described, when people come and say, well, we were trying to do X, let's say $1 million in revenue, and it looks like we're not going to hit X million, the million revenue. We're going to lower the goal down to 800,000. You say never do that.
No, it's criminal. You shouldn't do it. It's criminal. It is a contraction action. It is a retreat on some decision you made earlier. Why? Why would you lower it? So you can hit it? It's ridiculous. You made a target. It's like me going out and finding my wife. I find her, but she's not interested in me. So what am I supposed to do? Change my target and go to some other woman? No, I'm supposed to keep my target and raise my actions and get creative. And this is what's wrong with hundreds of millions of people in America today. They keep lowering their targets. The kid gets out of college. He wanted to be X. He goes into the environment and nobody's hiring X. So what does he do? He starts flipping hamburgers.
So, Grant, where do you think this is coming from? Is it the fact we got beat up severely during this last recession, or is it just indicative of the times? Because you write in your book that there's really no shortage of success, especially in America.
Yeah, what's happened is the middle class, which my father and my mother, they couldn't wait to get in the middle class. But the middle class 25 years ago is not the same middle class that we have today. Today we have, 25 years ago, these were people that were aggressively seeking to get into a place that was inspiring. Today, the middle class is a place of soft, comfortable, crossing their fingers, hoping to be comfortable forever, not knowing what's going to happen next, not even knowing what their state income taxes are. The middle class today, and no offense to anybody listening, I'm just telling you the truth about the current situation of hundreds of millions of people. The middle class today is a group of people that are soft, unaware of what's about to happen to them, and hoping that everything's going to be all right, and it's not. We're back into an environment where you have to be extremely aggressive. We're in an eat-what-you-kill environment now. There is no shortage of success. There's a shortage of people going for it, but there is no shortage of winners, people succeeding. There's no shortage of money. There's just a shortage of big think.
So you're saying if you coast along in the middle class today, you're in trouble.
The middle class, it's an illusion. It is not what it was. Our politicians should be telling us the truth about it. You hear both parties talk about how they want to save the middle class. The more they talk about it, the worse it gets. All you have to do is look at the last 25 or 30 years, and you know what I'm saying is true. It's just a fact. we have more and more people going into poverty today. Where are they coming from? They're coming from the middle class. So what's happening is the middle class is collapsing on itself. You can't make money in the bank. If you're trying to save money the way our parents did, my mom was earning 12% in the bank, sometimes 18%. It would take you about 20 years to earn that today.
Yeah.
So people aren't making as much money today. Median wage is dropping. But then you hear all these stories about unbelievably successful people, and that's the way people have to think today. Don't think about this middle. Give that up now, and you got to think about how to actually, I would tell people this, get out of the middle class should be your mantra. I must get out.
Our guest today is Grant Cardone. We're talking about his book, The 10X Rule. So, Grant, I mean, you really kind of hit home there, especially when our politicians are talking about the fact of preserving the middle class, and reality is it tends to be shrinking, or the buying power you used to have is not there anymore. So what's your advice on breaking out of this middle class? How do we get out of this trap and get to where we want to be?
Well, for the first thing to do is to make the decision, hey, you're going to break, you have to break out. People have to understand you are not comfortable right now. You have no clue what's coming. We have debt that no one knows what to do with. Who knows what else is going on that they're not telling us about? So what I would tell somebody, let's say it's a plumber and he's making 40 or 50 grand a year. The 10X rule, if I was sitting with him, I would sit down with him and say, look, I want to 10X your number. And he would look at me like I'm crazy. And I'd be like, no. Hey, man, look, are you working hard? Yes. Are you not paid for many things you do every day? Oh, yeah, I'm underpaid. Good. So you're underpaid. So good. We're going to do this. You're working hard already. Our new target is not going to be 50 grand a year. You're a plumbing company. You're making 50 grand. We're going to net 500,000. We're going to come up with a plan where you make real money, where you could actually provide for your family and your future and your company. It's the same amount of effort. It actually doesn't take any more effort. It's just a different think. It's going to take a different plan. And so once that decision's made, and then he says to me, but man, I don't need that much money. Because that's the first response from everybody. I don't need that much money. Well, look, I'm not talking about just him. I'm talking about him, his employees, his family, his future, his parents that he probably will have to take care of. Many of us, like yourself, might be in a position where you're going to have to take care of your 86-year-old mother, and you weren't planning on that financially. So the first thing that people need to do is make a decision to get out and think bigger, have much bigger goals, and then write a plan that will get them to that 10X number.
You mentioned, is it really just creating a vision that's bigger than where you're at right now and seeing yourself in that vision? When listening to you, Grant, it sounds so simple, but I venture to say you run across people where it's difficult to pry them out of that and look towards a bigger future.
Well, yeah, it's all relative too. Okay, so let's say the guy wants to make $1 million.
Sure.
I'm going to say, look, that's not going to do it, bro. You haven't done the math on $1 million. The way the math works on $1 million, if you make $1 million, you end up with about maybe 400 grand. After 2 kids, a house, any medical problems at all, you got maybe you made 200,000 after everything this year. Maybe. And that's probably not a given. When you say I want to make $1 million, everybody's underestimating what it takes. The whole world is underestimated. Look, the entire government has underestimated. Other countries are underestimating. So you got to assume that all the Americans are underestimating.
Yeah, chances are they're not going to be able to retire with what they think they can retire on.
Who is? Look, there's millions of people. My sister can't retire when she thought she could. She could be working 7 to 8, maybe 10 years longer than she thought. That story could be told 1 million times tonight, hundreds of thousands of times right there in Iowa. Look at the way the farmer was working 25 and 30 years ago, and look at the things that happened to him that he did not even plan on. That was not in the business plan. And that's what I'm saying in the 10X rule. Everybody is underestimating the amount of counter effort, the unplanned counter effort that happens on your quest to make 40,000, 400,000, or 40 million. It doesn't matter what the number is, but the only people that are safe, the only people that are financially safe today, I'm not saying they're happy, but financially safe, are the wealthy. are people with big financial visions and then are building plans and strategies to go get that money.
So let's talk about setting that objective, whether you're a salesperson and you want your income to be $150,000 or you're a business owner and you want that $10 million business. One thing is setting that goal and saying, okay, Grant, I'm going to commit. I understand what you're saying. Having a $10 million company isn't enough. Maybe it needs to be a $20 million company. The next question that begs itself is now what? Right? I've set that target. What do I need to follow in the 10X rule that's going to ensure that I'm going to get to that objective?
Now what I'm going to start doing is figuring out, okay, who do I need to hook up with? Who do I need to connect with? Who do I need to know? What skills do I have to develop to get to these bigger targets? Because I can't run in the same circles and go from making $150,000 a year to $1.5 million. You see, if I'm talking to a salesperson that's making $150,000 right now, he's at the top of his heap in his company. He's got all the trophies. He's got all the plaques. He's making all the money. He wins all the awards. But if we really look at his finances, he's worried. He might have to work for 20 years. And he's like, okay, when do I get out of this rat race? So what I would tell him is, look, we got to change your target to $1.5 million. And he's going to say, nobody makes that much money. Okay, good. So would you be better off? Yes, I would. Okay, well, how do we do it? Just because nobody's done it in his industry or his company doesn't mean it can't be done. Now what I want to raise his thinking and then the actions necessary. Does he need a different set of customers? Does he need to hire someone? It's interesting in this country, there's 28 million small businesses in America. 21 million, almost a full 75% of them have no employees. That would suggest that 3/4 of all small businesses in America have a commitment to staying small, and small is not better. You got to have latitude for some problems, and the problems are going to come. Talk to anybody in business, and they're going to tell you they're coming. So I would start aligning with these bigger actions, even if I don't hit the $1.5 million target. And all I do is the same 150, I'm going to end up with better clients, better mentors, better people around me, better surrounding, better ideas, certainly a better plan.
Yeah. So if what you're saying is identify that target, figure out what you need to be doing, and then put that plan into effect. And what happens when you hit the resistance that you're going to hit? Anytime you set a big objective like that, you're going to hit more resistance.
Yeah, totally. And what I'm saying in the book is, look, you need new problems. You want new problems, not old ones. The listener right now, look at your problems. Pick the top 3 problems you've had, and I'd bet $100 that you've had those same problems for years. You've had them so long, you're even bored with them. You can't even tell the same. You've told the story about that problem, those 2 or 3 problems, so long and so often. You need new problems. People need new problems. That's what keeps people excited. I want big, giant problems, not little problems. You don't want to owe the bank $40,000. You want to owe them $40 million.
Yeah.
Have some problems so big that you can't wait to figure out how to solve it, because it's going to really change things and really do something big.
So when you work with people or you work with companies, I think you said something that's dead nuts on there, that they're dealing with the same issues over and over again. Why is that, and how do you get them to break out of that pattern? I think that's really good insight, Grant.
Yeah, because most people are trying to avoid problems. You don't want to avoid problems. Behind every problem, there's money. You want new problems. You want big, juicy problems. I had somebody call me that day and say, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I got my own problems. And my problems are much bigger than what you're calling me about. I was on my way to New York the other day to do 4 meetings in New York. The cost of the meetings, the cost of me getting back there on a nonstop, but, last minute, it was expensive. But it wasn't, the cost of it was nothing compared to the opportunity.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, I'll give my last dollars to go to these meetings. You see, that's a much bigger problem. It's a good problem, not an old, boring one, like I'm late on my Visa card.
Right.
These are problems for hundreds of millions of people. They got little problems that are just dumb, that are way beneath the potential of the human being. And I'm not just being motivational when I say that. I'm telling people, look, you need some big – they don't teach you this in college. Go get some big, giant problems. If you study the top 30 most financially successful business people in the United States, you're going to see they went after big, juicy, huge, humongous problems. And they just stuck with it. They're more exciting. You get more creativity. The human spirit comes up with ideas and concepts around big problems that it would never come up with around, oh, man, how am I going to pay my visa this month?
You've worked with hundreds of people. You've trained thousands of people. How do you get them committed then to actually, it's nice setting those big targets, but then being committed to do the work it takes to advance towards those targets? How do you get that commitment?
Well, most of the time I use fear first. I'm like, I look at a guy that's making 40 or 50 grand a year. He thinks he's doing well. He's like, I can live on that where we are. My family's doing fine. My kids are getting schooling. I'm going to sit down with him and lay down the financial truth of what money he has left over at the end of a year, because there's no money left.
Yeah. To get him to confront the reality again.
Yeah, if you're starting with 40 or 50, no offense to anybody that's listening. I know this can be an offensive message, and I probably don't apologize enough, but once you look at it and you quit blaming the government, look, we all know the government is going to do nothing for you, the right or the left. For 75 years, they spend more money for 75 years in a row. So you can't expect that they're going to change that philosophy. And I'm just saying, look, if you look at 40,000, 60,000, 75,000, just pick a number, whatever number you're making, sit down with your wife or your husband and say, hey, how much money's left over? $7,000? Okay, multiply times 30 years. You're going to have $210,000 left to retire on 30 years from now. You won't even be able to take a cruise. And what if you live longer than you think you're going to? And why would anybody want to live that long and then not be able to enjoy the rest of their life and not be worried about it? I watched both my parents worried toward the end of their lives. Will it even last? And so I think that's the first thing a manager, an owner of a company, or if you're running your household, you really need to confront, use that word in your intro, confront the truth, the reality of the situation, and then realize the only way out of this is not to save more. It's not to tear up your credit cards. Debt is not your problem, and spending is not your problem. The problem is people don't produce enough income, period.
So get them focused on the income side of things.
It's the top line on a financial statement. I don't know why everybody spends 80% of their time on the bottom half of a financial statement. See, I just flip everything. I spend 80% of my time on the top half of the financial statement. Probably spend 95% of my time on the top half. I spend about 5% on budgets and expenses. Because if I can produce enough, if I can have enough really driven people and push my people to even greater levels all the time, just keep pushing, keep incentivizing to get to that next level, I'm not worried about the expenses. People don't cost money. Not selling your product and service costs money.
So why is it that most small businesses out there, and not even small businesses, but some businesses don't have this focus and attitude that if we're not out selling our products, then what else is there? I mean, if you're not out marketing and selling our products and services, why else would you be in business? Why do so many business people miss that concept?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. They're having meetings.
I was they're rearranging the stock in the back of the room. I always say.
I don't know what they're doing. They think they're going to social network their way out of this. I don't exactly know what people are doing, but.
Well, Grant, what are people coming to you today? The people you interact with, what are they fearful of? What are they saying?
Well, I just did some work with Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley makes, it's like they print their own money, right? They make so much money. But what their issue is this. Hey, Grant, we got a great product, a great name, a brand that's known around the world. My people, the average person there makes huge money. Can you get them to the next level? I said, oh, sure I can. But the way to get them to the next level is you got to get them out of that comfortable place. The comfortable place, look, if you're not scared, you should be. I asked a guy the other day, I said, are you scared? He's like, no. I said, well, then you're not playing a game I want to play. Dude, I'm scared every day. Every day I'm scared because the game I'm in is new. You want to be in a new game on a new playing field against a new objective. You want to be in the game and completely excited. Not, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I'm calling on the same customers over and over again. That's good, but you need some new customers. Look at BlackBerry. Look what happened to RIM and BlackBerry, a multi-billion-dollar company. It got complacent, and they can't find their way back now.
Yeah. You know, Grant, we just get started in this. I can't believe our hour's about over. I feel like I talked to this topic at least a couple more hours with you. So a couple final questions to get us focused in. Number one, you're with a business owner today. The one piece of advice you're giving him is what?
Change your target and push your people to greatness. And if they quit, then let them quit. Make sure they quit on the way out the door that you are shoving them to greatness.
Is there one question today that I should have asked you that I haven't asked you?
Maybe it's like, I'm brutally crushing on the middle class, this message. And so if your producer of your show is listening to this, he's sitting there, he's earning $40,000 or $50,000 a year. And he's like, dude, this guy's like, he's making everything I'm doing wrong. But that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just wake people up and say, look, there will be nothing left over. I just moved from California all the way to Florida to avoid 13.3% state tax. I didn't do that because it was a comfortable thing. I didn't do that because I like Florida. I did it because it's the financially right thing for me to do for my family, my company, and my future.
If people want to learn more about what you have to offer, where would they go?
You can go to GrantCardone.com, or I'm very active on Twitter at Grant Cardone.
What's got Grant excited these days? What's in your bigger future?
10X, man. Look, I want to 10X everything. I'm buying real estate. I want to produce more money so I can put it in places where I know it will be protected. Like multifamily real estate is a very exciting place for me because it will produce income for my kids, and it'll produce income for my wife long after I'm dead. So I want to do great things for the community. I want to have money for my church and my community and the Boys and Girls Club and things that I'm interested in, I want to be able to do, and regardless of what they do in the government, I still want to be able to do it because I was productive enough and smart enough to be able to make those decisions.
Grant, thanks for being on our program. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for having me.